Hey, welcome to Tough Guys TV. On this episode, we're going to be digging into a new tool that we just got in the mail. It is a cordless, Ridgid circular saw, and we're going to kind of do an unboxing and then a quick review of that to show our first impressions, as well as doing some baseline comparative tests against. We have an older skill saw, circular saw that's just a corded style, so we're going to show the differences there. Do some quick comparisons and just kind of go through it. We also got a new battery, a larger battery that came from Ridgid with a charger. We got kind of a package deal on that, so we're going to show that better battery as well as the new circular saw. And let's get started.
Oh! All right. Open this thing up here and see what we've got inside. And Ridgid's normally pretty good. I like that they put the information on the warranty on the boxes. We've actually saved one of the ones for the table saw because it was humongous on the box, and I just have it up here on the top of the shop, so I have that number kind of saved. But it works really well. I like that about the way they package things up. They generally make it real easy to understand what you're getting into. Hey, looky there. We have got ourselves a blade in the box. Not sure the quality on that. We'll compare that. I got some Diablo blades inside, but it looks like they've got this thing in there pretty well. Nothing crazy. It is a power tool, so let's hope that... Shake it out. There we go. Let me get it unwrapped out of the plastic and we'll come back. All right, we've got this unwrapped, and I just want to say first impressions are really, really good with this thing. Everything feels amazing on it. The grip is just fantastic. I'm gonna try to get this in the shot there. It's kind of got a soft, just the slightest bit of soft to it. It just feels fantastic. Everything's very tactile. Everything just feels just solid. Everything just works really, really well. Some first initial impressions of the saw are all really, really, really good. I'm gonna dig in to each, functionality a little bit as I go through and we get the first blade hooked up. But I just kind of wanted to start with my first initial thoughts of the saw, the overall build quality. Everything just feels very well thought out, ergonomic, easy to hold. The weight of the device is actually, it's a little heavier than I thought it would be. If I was gonna have any critique, I would say it is pretty heavy in comparison here, and I'll show one of our skill saw wired saws here in a sec. But considering that the battery with this is very large as well, kind of bring that in. This does not come with it in the box. This is a battery that we got extra, and it came with a charger, which we'll go over here in a sec. But the battery itself is much larger than a traditional size Ridgid battery. So as far as the weight of the saw, and here's one of those, and you can kind of see this thing is much larger. As far as the weight goes, I'm not sure if that's going to be an issue, but in this initial review, we may not see long-term of that, but I'll definitely come back and revisit that. All right, spend a couple seconds on this Ridgid Gen5X charger. We did get this separately. Again, this did not come in the box with the actual Ridgid saw. Now, the battery is not included with that, so although it is considered to be the Gen5X just like this, it does not come with it. This is the battery. We got this thing plugged in. A little power icon comes up. This tells you when it's charging, and then you've got some other evaluation on the battery right here. Now this battery does have Bluetooth, which I'm going to go through how I got that hooked up to my iPhone. I would assume the process is relatively similar on Android, although I don't have a way to test that for you guys. So it's kind of got little teeth in there, if you can see that, which when it locks into place, it begins charging. Nothing too complicated, pretty able to figure that one out. Compared to an older, or the charger that we've had, I say older because we've had it for a long time, this one is the one that came with our combo kit. And the traditional batteries, much smaller, they just slide onto here. And then based on the way these two LED lights flash on the front, it tells you what's going on with the battery up there. No Bluetooth, nothing special. So I am interested in seeing how this works with Bluetooth connectivity. and how it tells me about the battery over time, you know, if we're working it too much or if it's getting low, and how that can help us. So that's a quick overview of this, and we'll revisit the battery a little bit more as we go through the rest of the review. All right, let's take a look at the blade. This is the blade that came in the box, 7 1/4, 24 teeth. And I had a new Diablo blade that was the same as far as the details of it. So I kind of wanted to compare the two. This looks like a great quality blade. I've never bought a blade from Ridgid. I don't even know if they're sold, just to be honest, outside of a box. But you know, just some quick comparisons between the two of these. Thicknesses look pretty similar. One thing that I noticed was when I line up the teeth, and I'll try to get this as close as I can just for the sake of argument, you kind of see how much wider from the point to the edge the Diablo is. I don't know what effect that has as far as cutting. I'm gonna assume that for regular framing cuts, the Ridgid blade is probably just fine. These are good too. For the type of projects we do, I don't really do blade reviews or detailed stuff like this that often because I don't really run into issues. I buy these Diablo blades and they last for a really long time. So I'm gonna put this one on when I do the install, and I'm gonna use this one first. And then if I need to switch it over to the Diablo, I will do that and then kind of maybe give some thoughts on the comparison. But I have a feeling for what we're gonna do with this test, this is gonna be just fine. Do some baseline stuff. Next step, let's get this installed on the saw and show how easy that is. And then we'll jump over to getting the Bluetooth battery paired up to my phone so you guys can check out that process as well. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna change out the blade on this, and there's some really cool features that I really like about how this operates. As soon as I do this, I'll do a quick comparison to show you guys how you would change a blade on a more traditional wired saw. So this is pretty neat. And maybe it's just me not having bought a saw in 10 years, but I find it pretty cool. So normally you'd have a little wrench that pulls out of the back, and you would undo this little bolt to free up for the blade to install. And what I thought was really cool, flip this around, is they have an Allen wrench that just builds into the handle here. So you pull this out, and then you might immediately go to this and you might start turning it. What you'll notice is this thing will just spin and spin and spin. So there's actually a lock that you have to release, and it's actually right here. So you push this down, and then while you're pushing that, you can put the Allen wrench in there, and you'll hear it click into place. And I don't know if that picked up very well, but once that's engaged, this comes out. And I'm keeping my finger down on there just for the sake. This is the piece that goes over the outside. So you want to save those and put those back in the right order, obviously. I'm going to release the lock. Going to take the blade. Here's that Ridgid blade again, and that's the one we're going to install. I'm going to pull this guard up and get it out of my way, and lock that in place. I'm going to set this back on top, and I'm going to screw the nut back in place just to get it hand tight. And then again, in order to let it actually tighten, I'm going to depress that button again so that it locks, so that I can actually put some pressure down on the locking nut now. And you kind of hear that is in there now, and the guard is back down. So as far as blade installation, this is super easy. Make sure to put that back in. I really, really like that in comparison. And really, really fast here. This is our old skill saw. This one actually, and I don't even have it out, but it has a little wrench piece that fits in the back of this here. And that's how you would take that, and there's no way to engage the lock. So the way I do it is I normally just kind of hold the blade like this, and then use the wrench to loosen the nut, or loosen the bolt that's there to remove that locking nut, and then take the blade out. A little bit antiquated of a process. I really like the way Ridgid did it. You don't have to worry about this moving around. You just depress that lock, which engages this so that it locks in place, and then you can go ahead and loosen it. It's a really great idea. And so far, we're really, really happy with that.
Dad, I can.
What would you like to say?
I can say something for her, okay?
Yeah.
We're gonna be just hammering some glues.
Yeah. Yeah. You're trying to make your own video while I'm doing mine, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're doing pretty good. You want to help me with this one later?
Yeah. After my video.
All right. It's always good to have good help. Are you going to help me with the video today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? This is. You know what?
Why are we all whispering?
We have a butter knife, so I won't cut my finger. And look.
All right, here's a couple quick thoughts about some other functionality on here. You've got a quick release on the pitch of this thing. That is really, really cool. It's super smooth, easy to lock down. This front hand grip, I really, really like the shape of it, and you can really get a good hold on it. I like the general placement of just everything on this so far. And then back here on the back side, there's the release for your depth, which again, it's so smooth. And in here, you can set your depth super, super fast, and then just lock that thing in where you want it to be. Again, overall, so far, this has just been awesome. Initial impressions, now obviously I haven't done any cuts yet. We're gonna start that in a few minutes, but just wanted to share that. So far, everything just feels great. Again, you've got some marks here for measuring along the side of this. There's just thing after thing I find that is just little details that Ridgid's thought about that I'm really happy with so far. All right, here's a quick overview of the other documents that come in the box. To give you a quick kind of advertisement that shows basically their entire line of things. If you're new to Ridgid, this is kind of helpful. Maybe you could plan out some things you want to buy. There's a few things on here we have on our radar as well, especially some shop lights and some new saws. They also give you like a baseline instruction. If you're not familiar with this type of tool, take a few minutes to read it. Nothing to be embarrassed about there, just read it. It gives you some really good overview, and it'll tell you what's going on. There's also the limited lifetime warranty documents. Again, if you're buying Ridgid, you probably know about this, but take the time, read the document, and register the tools. It's super easy process. Once they're registered, you're good forever. Everything we've ever bought from them, we've followed that process, so I definitely recommend doing it. All right, and for this battery, to get it in pairing mode, you basically just hold this button down, and what'll happen is the orange lights will switch over and you'll get a blue light that will appear. It's already paired to my phone, so it's not gonna show the pairing light again, but that's as easy as it is. Once it's paired and it's connected, whenever you launch that app, it's gonna be connected all the time whenever you're near it with your device. So again, you would just hold this button down. This light on the end will turn blue for a second. You'll know it's in pairing mode, and then you'll be able to pair it using the app. All right, to start off, we go to the App Store, and again, this is the iOS App Store. We're gonna search for Ridgid, and you'll see that this comes up pretty fast there. I've already got the app installed, so we're gonna tap open on the one at the top and go ahead and launch the app for the first time. And once it loads, you have the opportunity to plug in your account if you want to, and then from there you would begin searching for the battery by pressing that plus button. And in this case, I'm holding that button down on the battery gauge to get that blue light to appear to show that it's pairing. And here's the request. You would tap pair, and it's gonna give you a quick readout of the battery just to confirm that you've got it hooked up together. Overall, a pretty simple process. And from there, you could tap on that to give you some initial data about your battery before you start making cuts to make sure it's fully charged. All right, so we've got the battery plugged in, big boy here. It is ready to go. And one thing I noticed is that underneath there is a button just like on the cordless. And what that does, if I can show this, is it pops on an LED light that's hidden up underneath. Super cool addition. I did not notice that. That is awesome. I did not know that was gonna be there. And as far as the rest of it goes, it's right where your pinky would be sitting, or your ring finger, when you're holding the device like this. So I thought that was super cool, a neat little final thing. I don't see a laser on it anywhere, but I had that on the old skill saw, and I never used it. I didn't find it to be very accurate. It wasn't like it was lined up. I'm just old school with it, I guess. I like to watch the blade, where the blade is actually touching the wood as I'm cutting. That's how I guide, that's how I keep a line straight. So I don't know if that's just me, but that's how I've always done it. So the laser isn't something that I always like to use anyway. So with that said, I'll set up a couple of fresh cuts and we'll see how this thing does. And one last quick initial thought here, and I may be nitpicking a little bit, but I really wish that in the box this would have come with a bag or something. For years we've had this. I put extra blades in there, the little tools that I needed. It's just nice to have something, and this thing just zips shut and we store it on the shelf. I just kind of realized that it doesn't have anything in the box. I'm sure Ridgid makes something, and I realized I could just probably use this bag and put that one on the shelf now. But just for the sake of the review, if you're somebody who keeps these kind of tools in a bag, at least the one that I got did not come with anything like this in it. So food for thought. And Ridgid is pretty good about this. I mean, this is, I believe, one of the sanders. It's the belt sander. This is the jigsaw. This is the reciprocating saw. They normally have a bag, so I'm not really sure. Maybe they just didn't come with it, or maybe I bought like a lower end version that did not come with it. I'm not sure, but this is up close to that box. So again, just food for thought. Not really sure. I'll check online and see if they actually sell one, and if so, I'll probably pick one up.
Safety goggles.
All right, we've got the blade set to 2 inches. So we're just gonna do a couple of quick test cuts here and see how this thing operates. Now, something I love immediately is how fast that blade stopped. That was super cool. See if we can run that again. That is something really, really cool I was not expecting. Yeah, so just in general, the fact that that blade stopped so fast, I thought was really cool. That's something I've always disliked about at least the circular saws that I've had in the past. If you're somebody that's used them a ton, the blade will just keep spinning. You go to set it down on the ground, blade's just going for what seems like forever. Obviously the guard kicks down, but you still think about that little tiny spot where, finger or something gets stuck in there. So I thought that was really, really cool. I didn't expect that, so that was kind of neat. Let me show you the last bit of guard that's on. There's like a kind of a trigger you have to pull in order to actually get it started. Let me show you that really fast. So that part I was just talking about is this. You kind of reach up with your finger to depress that down prior to pulling the trigger. And man, just look how fast that stops. That is just wild. The cutting itself with the Ridgid blade was basically like cutting through butter. This is an older 2x4 that we had here in the shop, but I mean, the cut is great. I mean, it was like cutting through nothing. I didn't put hardly any pressure. So initially, at least one cut in, that Ridgid blade did really well, and very happy with it. And again, just one more time, look how fast that stops. I'm gonna grab the other saw just to show a comparison to that. Okay, I've got the skill saw plugged in, similar safety button. I'm gonna run this and we're gonna see what I'm talking about. I think that was about 10 seconds. So that's absolutely insane compared to that is just unreal. That is just unbelievably more safe and efficient than this. I have absolutely no idea why that runs for so much longer. I do feel like this blade gets going faster, and maybe that's a difference here in this horsepower. I don't really know on this one. I didn't look that up, so maybe that's an issue. I'm not really sure, but one more time, I'm gonna try to get my finger coming off of this. So it's about 9 seconds that time. And then here. And then, less than a second. So take it for what it is. All right, having made a few cuts here, just random stuff. I got I think a 2x6 in there, 2x4. We've got some random 2x2 cuts that I just made. So here's the saw. Just check in on the battery. So it's still registering full. I'm gonna switch over now and I'm gonna check the app on my phone and I'm gonna see what it's telling me about the battery right now. We're gonna launch the app really fast and take a look. And click on the battery itself. It will show connected and unlocked. It gives us a quick readout of the battery temperature there, 68 degrees. And again, we haven't used it for very long. At this point, it's only been a few cuts. And it looks like it's reading out at 90%. I noticed really quick here, it says 0.2 of an hour. So it does keep track of how long I've been running it. So that's also really great. So yeah, as it says right now, that battery is at 90% is what it says inside the app. And it also keeps track of how much time you've used it, and it tells you the condition and temperature. All in all, those things are really cool. So far, so good with this thing. I'm really happy so far. I want to keep using it and keep trying to see, what we can come up with. Some more tests for it. I'm gonna cut some longer boards now and see if I can run the battery down a little bit more. I want to see how it does under a little bit more pressure. All right, I'm geared up here to cut a 4x4, and I noticed something else. I can only get this to about just shy, if I can pick that up there, of 2 1/4. I can't get it all the way up. If I open this, it runs into the bottom of the battery and it doesn't quite go all the way. I don't know if that was a intended thing where they wanted to kind of max out the depth of the blade, but with this bigger battery that obviously sits there, you can kind of see the distance here. So again, just something to bring up that we're noticing so far. So I'm gonna try to run some cuts through this 4x4, flipping it around and see how it does. This is treated, by the way, too, so a little bit denser. We'll see how that does. So after those cuts with the 4x4, give it a quick test. So now I'm reading down at 3. I'll confirm this inside the app and we'll see what that actually says. All right, launching back into the app, let's take a look. We'll go ahead and click on the icon and it shows battery temperature has gone up and it also confirms that we're down to 80%. So yeah, the app confirms that we're about at 80%. Pretty good considering what I'm cutting. The 80% left, I mean, I feel like I wouldn't have any issue getting through an entire day with this saw as far as just work goes. I mean, how many cuts are you gonna be making of that degree? So all in all, I'm pretty happy. I wanna come back and revisit this and give it kind of a full review once I've used this thing for a couple of months. So maybe, I don't know, shoot for sometime in January. I'll do a follow-up video and really go through this thing in a lot of detail. And I'll see if I can't run into some problems with it, maybe some gripes, just some things that I have issues with. But overall, it's pretty hard to complain.
The mobility, the quickness of the blade stopping. It seems to have plenty of power compared with that, or combined rather with that app that keeps track of the battery's health and the percentage and the heat and everything else. I mean, I don't really have a lot to complain about right now. So it's pretty awesome. I'm happy with it. Ridgid. So let's keep this thing going, and we'll come back and revisit it here in a couple months and let you guys know the full review. But anyways, thanks for watching. If you love our channel, then give us a like and subscribe if you want to see more of us. If you hated us, then go ahead and hit the dislike button. That one's for you. In the meantime, just stay driven to do projects and give us feedback. We've been getting a lot of feedback from the people watching our videos in the comments, which is really awesome. So it helps us to know that we're doing a good job and that we're here to help out. So again, thank you so much if you did watch the video, and we look forward to having you guys come along for our next project. Thanks.